Alright guys, so this video is going to be useful not just for people who are making games, but also for people who are making visual effects or videos or rendered animations or whatever you want. So we're going to use the cinematics part on the toolbar to add a new level sequence. So in this case, let's just make a cutscene where before the game starts, the player comes in, shows off, punching, and then maybe walks to a certain place, and then you start the game. So I want to have some simple level sequence like that going on, just to give you guys the idea of how to make cutscenes. So add level sequence. Let's make a new folder. Let's call it sequencer. I don't know, you can call it whatever you want. Let's call it sequence 1. Right, so you get this nice little After Effects type timeline thing. I'm just going to put it here so you can swap it whenever you want. As you can see, it's a timeline, right? It's just a bunch of frames, and as you probably guessed, we just have to add actors in here and track them, and then change certain properties or keyframes of them. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having the third-person character who only appears after the game starts, I can drag a third-person character onto here, but this won't work. And the reason it won't work is because the animation component of this third-person character is linked to some variables. And those variables, like is smashing or is punching, it's going to prevent our animations from playing, so I'm going to delete him. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag the skeletal mesh of the player, right, the skeletal mesh, and play with this skeletal mesh instead. Right? So I'm going to make this mesh pretend to be the player and switch him out for the actual player when the game begins. So we have this guy, put him here. This is the skeletal mesh. Look for the skeletal mesh next to the words character. That's what we want. And what he can do is maybe walk till here, pretend like he's punching, and then stop. So let's go to sequencer. Let's click on this mesh, click on plus track, and actor to sequencer, add character. So I've added this character. One thing I need to do is, in our details, let me just remove collision, because otherwise in game he's going to be visible. So let me just look for the collision. Where is the collision? Yep, in collision, let me just no collision, and let's hide this guy in game. Let's go to actor hidden in game. Yes, he's definitely hidden in game. So when you play, you'll see that he doesn't exist. That guy doesn't exist. Okay, so back here in sequencer, what we'll do is we will click on plus animation. So we'll add an animation. Let's just add the walking animation. So let him walk from here to here. Now, as you can see, the walking animation is a few frames. So let's just drag this out because it's a looped animation anyway. So let him walk till about here. So let's, if I press space, I can play. So I press space. You can see he's walking, but he's not actually moving. For us to move him, we need to open the transform, look at the location, and you see X, Y, and Z. That's what we need to manipulate. So I'm just going to add a keyframe, add a new key at the current time. And for those of you who have not used After Effects or Premiere Pro, a keyframe is basically a way to save state. And what it will do is, if I save the state here, it will add these 3 keyframes, and then I'll move here, and then move this character forward a little bit. Let me just move him forward to here, and I want to save the state again, right, by pressing this. I can manually press these 2, but I'm just pressing location to kind of save all 3 state at the same time. Now, as you can see, he would have walked from here to here. It will find midpoints and kind of smoothen the walk, as you can see. So this looks pretty cool, and yeah, this is where I'm liking it. So now I want him to punch, so let me add another animation. Let me add a punch. Actually, let him do that spinning thing, right? That funny spinning thing that we had. Let's click on animation, great sword high spin attack. So suddenly he goes crazy, and bam, beautiful. So we need to blend these 2 animations. So what we'll do is close this, open the animation track. You can see the weight. This is useful for blending. So just press, I'm going to press, actually I'm going to move this to a different track. So just drag and move it higher. So let him start this here. Alright, so we'll go here, set a keyframe on the blend, go from 1 to 0. So I want the walking animation to be blended, and this too. So we'll start, press the keyframe, let it go from 0 to 1. Alright, so bam. So you can see he slows down, he gets a little upset, and then slams. Okay, this is beautiful. Let's play some sparks or something. Actually, I'll let you guys figure that out. You can just add some new particles, make sure it's hidden in game, and just press track on it. And I'll basically allow you to play some, basically when you track something, it allows you to manipulate its properties. And I can actually manipulate more properties of the character by just pressing this plus track. I can manipulate the character's path, some events, maybe some attachments, maybe a sword or something, maybe more animations. So you can do whatever you want. And you can also have a actor hidden in game property that's tracked. So I'm just going to add that. It's called visibility. So in the beginning, I'm just going to make him invisible. Let's make that set. I'm going to add a frame here, make him visible suddenly. So as you can see, he suddenly becomes visible. And right after this is done, I guess he can become invisible again. So as you can see, he's only visible for this period. Let's delete this keyframe, and let's just make him visible from the start, but in the ending, let's make him invisible. Boop. Awesome. Cool. Now I need a nice camera shot of this, right? This is a weird camera shot, and there is no camera on this. So what we do is we click on this and click on create a new camera and set it as the current camera cut. Press that, and as you can see, a new camera called Cine Camera Actor 4, and you can play with the camera settings too. So I'm just going to add a track on the current focal length, and I'm going to make it total here, zoom out a little bit. So as you can see, over time what happens is camera goes out and the guy comes in and does stuff. Right, this is just, you can play with this, and what you can do is when you create a camera cut, this is the final cut of what it's going to look like, right? Including the animation and this. And you can always add more cameras to the camera cut, or a different camera to the camera cut by just selecting a camera. I've just selected the Cine Camera Actor 4 for now. So as you can see, the camera does some wonderful stuff. And that's it. This is all I want. Maybe you can add, when you press plus track, you can add some audio. You just select some audio. Maybe I'll play starter music. Strange audio. It's not Punjabi enough. It's not Punjabi enough. So I just wanted to play till here. So let me just shut the camera shot track till here. Actually, I can change that in the sequence settings. Yeah, just by dragging that red line. Okay, that's good. So now I'm just going to save the current sequence, and now we'll play this when this level starts. So I'm going to go to content browser. I am going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my level blueprint, open level blueprint, right? And as you can see, the sequence will show up. It should show up. As you can see, sequence 1 will show up as part of the scene because it is part of the scene. Sequences are always linked to levels. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go to level blueprint, on event begin play. Let all this happen on event begin play. This is all fine. Actually, I'm going to drag a sequence. Now the sequence here, this sequence is completely different from that sequence. It's just they use the same word, but this is more to have two different nodes or set of nodes play one after the other. So I'm just gonna, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a reference to this sequence. So I'm going to click on this, and in my level blueprint I'm just going to right click, create a reference to sequence 1. You guys have probably done this before, because like I said, you need some reference to this, otherwise how will you know which sequence to play? Right, so we have the sequence 1, and I think you can just do play. Yeah, I think you can just do play. Right, and during this period we want to disable input, so let me just do that. Disable input, get player controller. If you don't disable input, then well, the player can move while the sequence is playing. That's allowed. It's completely allowed. And after this is done, then enable input. Now, one thing I don't know is if this is going to happen immediately or whether I need to call a delay, but we'll find out the length of the sequence. How long is the sequence? It's 135. That's how much is that in seconds? 30 frames per second. So 135 by 30. I mean, show time as seconds. Right. So it's about 4.5333. Okay. So we'll delay. 4.533 seconds. This should work. Let's see. Okay, that's beautiful. That's all we ever wanted to do with our sequence. And obviously you guys can go crazy with it. You can do as many seconds as you want. But that's about it. That's how easy it is to kind of create a level sequence in your game. And it's also how people create entire animations and entire videos or music videos or whatever. Just use the sequencer, drag your skeletal mesh, whatever skeletal mesh you want. If you want to track this, then you can add that. You see, when you press play, you see that all the code still runs, right? The code for this, the code for the player bars, they all still run, right? It's when you want to play certain animations or do certain things with the location and rotation, you know, if you want to manipulate their values over time using keyframes, that's when you track them. Otherwise, they just, you know, the animations, the elevator is going to continue playing. The idle animations of these things are going to continue playing. See, the idle animations of the robot are still playing. And yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Bye.